Much of the mystery and magic of compost depends upon creatures that are so small that we can't possibly see them. But it's now a good opportunity to go back and have another look at a visit that Nick made to a man who has developed a technique of looking at tiny creatures in our soil that you can see, and to hear about the remarkable role they play in creating our gardens.
Soil is the foundation for everything that grows on our planet, and it's crucial to the success of what flourishes in our gardens, supporting plants and providing them with water and nutrients. Worms and beetles do their bit to keep the soil healthy, but deep underground, there's a host of other critical creatures that are owed some long overdue respect. Dr. Charlie Clutterbuck is a soil zoologist, an expert in microscopic creatures who spent his career exploring the importance of this macro world. I've come to his garden in Lancashire to learn more about the critters that he believes are vital to a healthy and productive garden. Now, I'm hoping you can give us some insight into this incredible ecosystem that's happening underneath us.
I'd like to, because most people treat it like dirt, don't they? Whereas it's actually the living force for the whole planet. Under this garden here, there's probably half worms and half mesofauna. And they're actually doing a lot more work than worms do, believe it or not.
And with a simple tin can, Charlie can show me up close what these mesofauna are all about.
You just push it into the ground, turn it round, and then turn it upside down so that the surface animals are nearer the bottom and the deeper ones are at the top, which means the ones on the surface can move out quicker.
Let's have a look.
Okay.
So this is the garage lab, Charlie.
It is indeed. And this is the soil sample that I've just taken from the garden. We've put it in a cola bottle in a good old-fashioned jam jar, and we put it under these lights. And what happens is, after a couple of days, the soil animals come down into the vials below.
But why are these creatures so important? Charlie collected a sample from his lawn a few days ago for me to find out.
There we've put a microscope on it, and these black creatures with the antennae running around fast, they're springtails.
I mean, it's amazing there's so many of them.
Well, those springtails, their main role is eating up the debris of the roots. The roots are sloughing off the skin all the time. They're eating that. So they're keeping the plants healthy.
So in other words, the plant can absorb more moisture because its roots are clean.
That's right,
yeah,
much more.
Yeah.
And there's a white springtail. That's something called an onychurate. And they are known for transporting the spores of the fungi to the roots. These creatures are like the bees of the soil. They're accidentally, if you like, pollinating the roots with the fungal spores.
Gardeners are aware that you can use a mycorrhizal fungi to help extend the root reach of your plants. In other words, the fungi gets into the roots, grows out, and it helps the plant draw in more water and nutrition. But these guys are pivotal in that process as well.
Yes, we need the creatures as well to make it work. On its own, it just stays where it is.
I mean, it's a real mosh pit of creatures, isn't it? They're all kind of on top of each other.
Well, apart from the springtails, the little brown blobs are oribatid mites, and there are millions of those in the soil. They're probably the most important, apart from the springtails, because what they're doing is breaking down the debris, and their poo is basically the nutrient for the plants. There's probably, in terms of weight, as many of them as worms, but they're doing a lot more running around than worms. Worms are like the big excavators, the orobatids are the little engines of the soil. I think it's the last great kingdom to be explored. What you're seeing here is very unusual. People haven't collected them alive before. We've always collected them dead and then tried to make sense. To see them moving around and how they relate is a massive step forward.
When it comes to optimizing soil fauna in our own gardens, Charlie has some great advice.
Well, Nick, 3 years ago, this garden was just consolidated flat clay. And what I've tried to do is use two aspects of the soil animals, dealing with the dead stuff and keeping the plants alive, to try and make this into decent soil. So I added woodland litter to the dirt, which is what it was then, and the worms and the soil animals are now turning that into soil. Woodland litter is good because there's 4 times as many creatures in that as they are in this sort of soil.
So why is there more fauna in woodland soil?
Because that's basically where they originated from. Also, what I did was turf, cut the lawn up and put it into the bed so that the other soil animals, those little springtails, they can help bring the fungi, the mycorrhiza fungi, to the roots. And I think I was rather pleased that these fruit trees, just in 3 years, are doing as well as they are. And I put it down to, obviously, the fertiliser and the fungi, but also those little soil creatures. And if you want to have a quick test of whether it's working or not, put a jam jar in the ground and see if you catch ground beetles the next morning.
And so they're a real indicator that says the fauna's improved, it's working.
When you see these black beetles running around, you know that they're preying on those soil animals, telling you that's a healthy soil.